Hello, this is Ron Paul with your weekly update for December 28th. Last week on Christmas Eve, after many backroom deals were made, the Senate passed the health care reform bill with a strictly partisan vote. I was pleased that my colleagues in the GOP are on the right side of this bill. Although this vote was a major step in health care reform becoming a reality, they still have to reconcile the Senate bill with the House-passed version in conference committee. This could prove even more difficult and costly than the Senate vote. There was a little bit of controversy surrounding one particular senator who was initially against the bill, but then, coincidentally, a large amount of Medicare funding specifically for his state was tucked inside, and he ended up voting for it. One wonders how much more of that will have to go on to achieve final passage. But this is how politicians in Washington deal with problems. They throw your money at them. Health care reform is no different. The Senate version of the bill, at last count, will cost $871 billion. The House version tops $1 trillion, but they tell us this is for the health of Americans, and how dare we count the cost. Such is the arrogance of politicians. There seems to be no end to the problems they feel capable and duty-bound to solve through legislative proclamation and plenty of your money. To hear them talk, one might think that a few words spoken on Capitol Hill would make problems just disappear. All it takes is good intentions. But no good can come from 2,400 pages of Washington's good intentions. I have observed quite the opposite throughout my political career in the House of Representatives, in fear that with this immense legislation, our health care problems are only just beginning. Over the last few decades, I have seen health care subjected to more and more creeping red tape that only creates bottlenecks and increases costs as new bureaucratic hurdles are put in place. Politicians cannot solve the problems created by ever-increasing intervention by exponentially increasing their intervention. Similarly, they cannot improve the quality of health care and expand access to all Americans simply by legislative decree. Oh, if it could be only that simple. The reality is the free market, when allowed to function naturally, increases access and drives prices down through competition. The free market keeps services providers accountable by allowing people to take their business elsewhere. This government intervention will eventually create a near monopoly of providers in health insurance as small companies are squeezed out and innovation comes to a grinding halt due to formidable barriers to entry. The government will determine prices and levels of service that will apply to everyone, regardless of one or individual circumstances. The true insurance model of health care cost management, meaning major medical coverage only, will basically become illegal. Opting out of the system will incur heavy tax penalties. Expanding government reach so deeply into this very sensitive area of our personal lives and such a major part of our economy means more opportunities for waste, fraud, and abuse of the system. One needs only remember the recent bailouts for an example of how government handles systemic waste, fraud, and abuse. So while the Senate patted themselves on their back last week for delivering a Christmas gift to Americans, time will prove it was instead a great big lump of coal. Thanks for calling this update. A new update is placed on this number, 888-322-1414, every Monday morning. The written text can be found on my website, www.house.gov/Paul, under the heading Texas Straight Talk. Thanks for calling.